chosen ones. Something stolen from you years ago is about to return multiplied. And the very people who took it, they are panicking right now. I mean, truly losing their minds, because they thought they had more time. They thought the day of reckoning would never come. They thought you would never find out. But here we are. The universe has a way of bringing everything full circle. What was done in the dark is stepping into the light. And the irony, the beautiful, poetic, divine irony, they did all the hard work for you. They saved it. They watched it grow. They protected it. And now they have to hand it over to you, the rightful owner, the one they underestimated, the one they betrayed. This message is going to confirm everything your spirit has been whispering to you. That gut feeling you had, that sense that something wasn't right, that knowing deep in your bones that you were deceived. Today you get your answers. Think of this like a safe that's been locked for years. Someone else had the combination. Someone else was supposed to open it. But the universe just changed the locks. And the only key that works now, it's in your hands. There's a reason this is surfacing now, and not a year ago or 5 years from now. Divine timing operates on a frequency most people can't comprehend. The universe waited until you were ready. It waited until you had healed enough to handle this revelation without it destroying you. It waited until you had grown strong enough to face these people without shrinking. See, if this had come out earlier, you might have crumbled. You might have let them manipulate their way out of it. You might have been too emotionally entangled to see clearly. But now you're different. Now you've built yourself into someone who can look betrayal in the face and not flinch. That's not coincidence. That's preparation. The universe was working on you while this secret was growing in the shadows, and both processes completed at exactly the right moment. Let me take you back to where this began. There was a relationship, maybe romantic, maybe business, maybe both intertwined in ways that got messy. And in that relationship there was someone who saw something in you. But it wasn't your soul they admired. It wasn't your heart they cherished. No, they saw your resources, your potential, your access to things they wanted but couldn't create for themselves. This person studied you, learned your patterns, figured out where the gaps were, and then they made their move. Not all at once. That would have been too obvious. They did it slowly, methodically, a little here, a little there. Money that should have stayed with you started flowing elsewhere. Opportunities that belonged to you got redirected. Resources you built with your own 2 hands, someone else's fingerprints were all over them. They watched you work. They watched you grind. They watched you sacrifice and push and build from nothing. And instead of being inspired by your work ethic, they resented it, because your ability to create highlighted their inability to do the same. Some people see someone thriving and want to learn from them. Other people see someone thriving and want to drain them. Guess which category your ex fell into? They positioned themselves as a partner, as support, as someone who had your back. But the whole time they were taking notes, not on how to build alongside you, on how to extract from you without detection. That takes a specific kind of coldness. That takes premeditation. That takes someone who looked at your trust and saw it as weakness to exploit. And the craziest part, their family knew. Let that sink in for a moment. This wasn't just one person's betrayal. This was a coordinated silence, a family conspiracy of keeping you in the dark. When this person did what they did, they didn't operate alone. They went home and talked about it. They sat at dinner tables and discussed it. Their mother knew. Their father knew. Their siblings knew. Maybe their cousins too. And what did any of them do? Did anyone call you? Did anyone warn you? Did anyone step forward and say, hey, this isn't right? Absolutely not. They looked at each other and made a collective decision. Keep it quiet. Protect our own. Let them figure it out later. Or better yet, let them never figure it out at all. Picture those family gatherings. Picture the holidays and the dinners and the casual get-togethers. Picture your ex sitting there, maybe even with you present, while everyone in that room shared a secret you weren't privy to. They exchanged glances when certain topics came up. They changed the subject when conversations got too close to the truth. They performed normalcy while knowing exactly what was happening behind your back. Some of them might have even been nice to your face, warm, welcoming, acting like you were part of the family, all while knowing what their relative was doing to you. That's a special kind of betrayal, not just from one person, from an entire unit that decided your well-being was expendable for their benefit, but they miscalculated something crucial. They forgot who they were dealing with. They forgot that the universe keeps receipts. They forgot that divine timing never fails. And most importantly, they forgot that what belongs to you will always find its way back to you. Always. They underestimated the cosmic ledger that tracks every transaction, every theft, every deception. They thought they were operating outside of consequence. They thought their little scheme existed in some pocket dimension where actions don't have reactions. How wrong they were. The same universe that watched them take is now orchestrating the return, and there's not a single thing they can do to stop it. You need to understand something about how these people think. In their minds, they justified everything. They told themselves stories that made them the hero. Maybe they convinced themselves you owed them. Maybe they decided you had too much anyway. Maybe they crafted some narrative where taking from you was actually fair. People who betray rarely see themselves as betrayers. They see themselves as survivors doing what they had to do. They see themselves as clever people capitalizing on opportunity. That mental gymnastics is how they sleep at night. That self-deception is how they look in the mirror without crumbling. But here's what they didn't account for. Their internal narrative doesn't change external reality. They can tell themselves whatever story they want. The universe operates on truth, not fiction. Now here's where the story gets interesting. This person, this ex, this ghost from your past, they didn't just take from you and run. No, they were smarter than that. Or at least they thought they were. They took what they stole and they invested it. They locked it away in some kind of account. Could be a long-term savings situation. Could be something digital, cryptocurrency maybe, some electronic wallet that nobody could touch for a certain period of time. The kind of thing where you put money in and you can't take it out until a specific date. They played the long game. They figured they would wait it out, let the interest build, let the value grow, and then when the time was right, they would cash out and live their best life on resources that were never theirs to begin with. The patience they displayed would almost be impressive if it weren't so diabolical. Think about the discipline required to steal something and then not touch it for years. Most thieves want immediate gratification. They take and they spend and they move on. But this person, they had a vision, a corrupt vision, but a vision nonetheless. They saw years into the future. They imagined themselves accessing this wealth after enough time had passed, after memories had faded, after you had moved on and forgotten the details. They were betting on your eventual disengagement. They were counting on time erasing the trail, and for a while it seemed like their bet was paying off. But time doesn't just fade memories. Time also matures investments. Time brings things to completion, and completion means payout. Payout means documentation. Documentation means the rightful name on record gets notified. Oops. But here's the problem. Here's where their entire plan falls apart. They did it in your name. They used your identity, your information, your credentials, because they needed legitimacy. They needed to hide it somewhere that couldn't be traced back to them. So they made you the owner on paper, thinking that when the time came, they would just swoop in and claim it. Maybe they thought you would still be together. Maybe they thought they could keep you close enough to access everything. Maybe they thought you would never be smart enough to figure it out. Whatever their reasoning was, it backfired spectacularly. Because you moved on, because you grew, because you evolved into someone they can't control anymore. This is the part that haunts them at 3 in the morning. The what-ifs. What if they had done it differently? What if they had used their own name? What if they had never gotten greedy in the first place? But they can't go back. They can't undo what's been set in motion. They're trapped in a prison of their own construction. Every decision they made to protect themselves has become the very thing exposing them. They thought using your name was clever. It was their undoing. They thought hiding it away was safe. It's what's bringing it back to you. They thought time was their ally. Time was working against them all along. Everything they did to secure their theft has become the mechanism of their loss, and now the account is maturing. The investment is ready, the waiting period is over, and suddenly they realize they have a massive problem. The notifications aren't going to them. The letters aren't arriving at their doorstep. The official documents have your name on them, your address, your information. Everything is coming to you. The rightful owner, the person whose identity they borrowed, thinking it would serve their agenda. They're scrambling right now. I mean full-on panic mode. They're trying to figure out how to intercept what's coming your way. They're trying to access systems they no longer have access to. They're making phone calls, sending messages, trying to find any loophole they can exploit. Imagine their faces when they realized the flaw in their plan. Picture the moment when it dawned on them that they had no legal standing to claim what they stole. All those years of waiting, all that anticipation, all those fantasies about what they would do with the money, evaporating in an instant. They probably tried logging into accounts they no longer had credentials for. They probably called institutions and were told they couldn't discuss account details with non-owners. They probably felt that cold sweat of realization spreading across their body. The game they thought they were winning, they were never even players. They were just unwitting assistants in your eventual blessing. But the doors are closing, one by one. The universe is systematically shutting down every avenue they thought was available. That door they wanted to walk through, locked. That window they planned to climb through, barred. Every single escape route, blocked. And they know it. They feel it. They're watching their carefully constructed scheme crumble in real time. There's desperation in their movements now, urgency that borders on mania. They're calling people they haven't spoken to in years. They're researching legal options that don't exist. They're lying awake at night, trying to think of angles that have already been closed off. The universe is thorough like that. When it decides to close doors, it doesn't leave windows open by accident. This explains so much, doesn't it? This is why they've been trying to reconnect, out of nowhere. After all this time, suddenly they miss you. Suddenly they're thinking about the good times. Suddenly they want to apologize and make things right. But let me be very clear about what's really happening here. They don't miss you. They miss what you represent. They miss access. They miss the ability to control the narrative. They miss being close enough to intercept what's coming. Their sudden change of heart isn't spiritual growth. It's financial desperation disguised as emotional vulnerability. Have you noticed the timing of their reappearance? Think about when they started reaching out, when the random messages began, when the unexpected calls happened, when mutual friends suddenly started mentioning them. It wasn't random, it wasn't cosmic reconnection, it was calculated positioning. They knew the maturity date was approaching. They knew they needed to be back in your life before the notifications arrived. They were trying to re-establish access without revealing why. Every sweet word was strategy. Every apology was manipulation. Every "I've changed" was investment protection, disguised as personal growth. Don't let the performance fool you. And their family? That same family that stayed silent all those years? They're in crisis mode too, because they realize that when this comes out, it doesn't just affect your ex, it affects all of them. They were complicit, they knew, they chose to protect the wrong person, and now they have to face the consequences of that choice. Some of them are distancing themselves already. They're cutting ties with your ex because they don't want to be associated with the fallout. The same people who huddled together to keep this secret are now pointing fingers at each other. That family unit that seemed so tight, watch it splinter, watch them turn on each other, watch them scramble to save their own reputations while throwing each other under the bus. Family loyalty only extends so far when legal consequences enter the picture. When it was just a secret, they could manage it. They could tell themselves they were protecting one of their own. But now that exposure is imminent, now that there's potential for serious repercussions, suddenly everyone's memory gets fuzzy. Suddenly people start claiming they didn't know the details. Suddenly the tight-knit unit becomes a collection of individuals looking out for themselves. This is what happens when foundations are built on deception. They crack the moment real pressure is applied, and pressure is definitely being applied right now. There might even be a third party involved, someone else who helped orchestrate this whole thing. Maybe they were the mastermind. Maybe your ex was just following their lead. Either way, there's infighting now. There's arguing. There's tension that can't be resolved because too much is at stake. This third party might even try to approach you themselves. They might want to tell their side of the story. They might position themselves as an ally who can help you understand what really happened. But understand this clearly. Their motivation isn't truth. Their motivation is self-preservation. They want to control how you perceive the situation so they can minimize their own involvement. Don't let anyone rewrite history in your presence. This third party is particularly dangerous because they have no emotional history with you. Your ex might hesitate because of past feelings, real or performed. But this third party, they view you purely as an obstacle, a problem to be solved, a variable in their equation that needs to be managed. They'll come at you with logic and reason and carefully constructed arguments. They might even try to make you feel like you're being unreasonable for wanting what's yours. Watch for this energy. Recognize it when it appears. Someone who approaches you not with accountability, but with agenda, is not there to help you. They're there to help themselves at your expense. Again, let me speak to something you might be feeling right now. There's probably a part of you that's angry. That's completely valid. There's probably a part of you that feels violated. That makes total sense. And there might even be a part of you that wonders how you didn't see this sooner, how you missed the signs, how you trusted someone who was actively deceiving you. Listen to me carefully. This was not a failure on your part. This was a calculated deception by someone who studied how to manipulate you specifically. They knew exactly which buttons to push. They knew exactly how to present themselves. They created a version of themselves designed to gain your trust. That's not a reflection of your judgment. That's a reflection of their commitment to deception. The signs were there, but they were hidden behind expertly crafted camouflage. Every red flag was accompanied by a reasonable explanation. Every moment your intuition tingled. They had a distraction ready. They didn't just deceive you. They actively maintained the deception through continuous effort. That takes energy. That takes planning. That takes someone who wakes up every day committed to keeping you in the dark. You weren't dealing with accidental oversight. You were dealing with professional-grade manipulation. The fact that it worked says nothing about your intelligence and everything about their dedication to betrayal. Stop carrying shame that doesn't belong to you. Stop questioning your own intelligence. The fact that you were trusting doesn't make you naive. It makes you human. The problem was never your capacity to trust. The problem was their capacity to betray. Those are two completely different things. And where are they now? Panicking, plotting, losing sleep. Meanwhile, you're about to receive something they worked years to build, using your name for your benefit. Without even knowing it, they created a savings account for you, got the money up, and then given it to you. These people are idiots. Let that sink in. They did all the work. You get the reward. The universe has a sense of humor, doesn't it? There's something deeply satisfying about this reversal that you should allow yourself to feel. Not petty satisfaction, not vengeful glee, but the genuine recognition that justice exists, that actions have consequences, that people cannot indefinitely escape the results of their choices. So many times in life we see wrongdoers prosper while their victims struggle. It can shake your faith in fairness. It can make you wonder if karma is even real. But here you are, living proof that the scales eventually balance. Your situation is going to restore not just resources to your life, but faith in divine order. That's not a small thing, that's foundational. Now let's talk about what's coming your way. There's going to be communication, some kind of official notification, a letter maybe, an email, a phone call from some institution you don't remember being connected to. And when you first see it or hear it, you might think it's a scam. That's actually the normal response these days. People get calls all the time about accounts they never opened. Most of them are indeed fraudulent, but this one is different. This one is real. And when you investigate it, when you dig into the details, you're going to discover that there's legitimacy here, that there's actual money waiting for you, that someone opened something in your name years ago and it's finally ready to be accessed. When that communication arrives, take a breath before you dismiss it. Yes, be cautious. Yes, verify through proper channels. But don't let skepticism born from past scams cause you to reject genuine restoration. Call the institution directly using numbers you find independently. Verify the account details through official processes. Do your due diligence. But do it with the openness of someone who knows the universe has been working on their behalf. There's a difference between healthy caution and reflexive rejection. Be careful, but be ready. What's coming for you is real. The amount might surprise you. This isn't spare change. This is substantial. Enough to change things for you. Enough to create new opportunities. Enough to start fresh if that's what you want. And the most infuriating part for them? You don't have to do anything illegal to claim it. It's yours. It has your name on it. All the official documentation supports you as the rightful owner. They did all the legwork. They made all the arrangements. And now they have to watch you benefit from their own scheme. Think about the compound effect of years of growth. Whatever they initially took has been working while you were working. Interest accumulated. Value increased. What might have started as one amount has multiplied into something significantly larger. They were meticulous about choosing an investment that would grow. They did research. They made strategic decisions, all to maximize the return on what they stole. And every strategic decision they made, every growth-oriented choice, it all benefits you now. They were essentially your unpaid financial advisors, diligently working to grow your wealth without your knowledge. It's almost too poetic. They might try to contest it. They might even try to involve lawyers. They might want to handle this outside of official channels because dragging it through proper systems would expose what they did. They're going to ask for meetings. They're going to want to talk this out like adults. They're going to appeal to whatever history you shared. Don't fall for it. The moment you take this outside of proper procedures, you give them room to manipulate. The moment you agree to informal arrangements, you open yourself to their influence again. Let the system work. Let the official processes play out. Let everything be documented and transparent. That's your protection. That's your power. Their preference for handling things privately tells you everything you need to know about their position. Innocent people don't fear official scrutiny. People with legitimate claims don't try to avoid documentation. The very fact that they want to keep this informal is admission that they can't withstand formal examination. When they suggest meeting privately to work things out, what they're really suggesting is removing all the safeguards that protect you. They want ambiguity. They want verbal agreements that can be reinterpreted later. They want room to manipulate. Deny them all of it. Stay in the light of proper process. I need you to understand the magnitude of what's happening here. This isn't just about money. This is about divine rebalancing. This is about the universe correcting a wrong that was committed against you. For years you operated at a deficit you didn't even know about. For years you were building from ground zero while someone else held resources that rightfully belonged to you. For years you achieved things through pure determination while invisible weight was strapped to your back, and you still made progress, you still grew, you still evolved. Imagine what you're going to accomplish now, with the weight removed, with resources restored, with clarity about what was happening all along. This isn't just a windfall, this is a launching pad. Consider everything you built while handicapped by this theft, every achievement you made while operating at a deficit, every milestone you reached while someone was literally sabotaging your financial foundation. If you could accomplish all of that with invisible anchors dragging you down, what becomes possible when those anchors are removed? The trajectory you've been on is about to accelerate dramatically, not because you're suddenly more talented or more driven, but because you're finally operating with full resources. The version of you that struggled and still succeeded is about to meet the version of you with nothing holding them back. That collision creates explosion. Some of you might be wondering if you should feel bad, if maybe this person needs this money more than you do, if perhaps showing mercy would be the spiritually enlightened thing to do. Let me address that directly. Mercy has its place, forgiveness has its value, but accountability is also divine. When someone steals from you, hides it, lies about it, and enlists their entire family to maintain the deception, that's not a mistake, that's a pattern, that's a character, that's who they chose to be. And allowing them to keep the fruits of their betrayal doesn't make you spiritual, it makes you complicit in your own robbery. Take what belongs to you, claim it unapologetically, use it with wisdom. That's not vengeance, that's justice. There's a difference. There's a type of spiritual bypassing that tells people they should forgive everything and desire nothing, that wanting what's yours is somehow materialistic or petty, that truly evolved people don't care about money or resources. This is manipulation disguised as enlightenment. The universe operates through material reality too. Resources matter. They fund missions. They create opportunities. They provide stability from which greater service can flow. Wanting what was stolen from you isn't spiritual weakness. It's appropriate self-advocacy. It's honoring the work you did to create those resources in the first place. Don't let anyone convince you that claiming your own property is beneath you. Speaking of their character, let me paint you a picture of who this person really is underneath the masks they've worn. This is someone who lacks the ability to create. They see themselves as clever, as strategic, as someone who knows how to work systems and people, but strip away all the manipulation, and what do you have? Someone who can only take, someone who can only redirect, someone who watched you build and decided to siphon rather than construct. That's not intelligence, that's parasitic behavior, dressed up as strategy, and parasites eventually run out of hosts. You were one of many. Before you there were others. After you there will be more. Unless the cycle gets broken, unless consequences finally arrive at their doorstep, guess what's about to happen? Examine their life trajectory for a moment. What have they actually built? What exists in their world that they created through their own effort, not acquired through others, not gained through manipulation, but genuinely constructed through their own vision and work? If you look closely, you'll find very little, because their entire operating system is based on extraction, not creation. They move through life looking for people who produce, then attach themselves to drain. It's a fundamentally different orientation toward existence, and it's why they'll never truly prosper, because even when they gain through taking, they lack the ability to maintain through creating. What they get disappears because they don't know how to generate, only how to acquire. Their world is about to get very small. The support system they thought they had, it's crumbling. That family that protected them, they're distancing themselves. That third party that helped orchestrate this, they're covering their own tracks now. One by one, the people who enabled this behavior are stepping away, because everyone's looking out for themselves, and when the exposure happens, nobody wants to be standing too close. This person is about to experience isolation like they've never known, and I'm not going to pretend that shouldn't satisfy something in your spirit, because it should. When someone deliberately wrongs you and faces consequences, that's resolution, that's completion, that's the story reaching its proper conclusion. Watch how quickly alliances dissolve when stakes get real. The people who conspired together in confidence will scramble for distance in crisis. Your ex is about to discover that the loyalty they thought they had purchased through shared secrets was actually quite shallow. Family members will claim ignorance. Co-conspirators will rewrite their involvement. Everyone will have a version of events that minimizes their participation and maximizes their innocence. This is what happens when foundations are built on complicity rather than genuine connection. The moment the ground shakes, everyone runs for safety. Your ex is going to look around and find themselves remarkably alone. Let's talk about the family one more time, because I want to make sure you understand the layers of betrayal here. This wasn't just your ex's doing. This was enabled and protected by people who should have known better. Parents, siblings, whoever was involved, they made a choice. They had information that you deserved to know, information that would have changed your decisions, information that would have protected you, and they sat on it. They watched you struggle and said nothing. They saw you trust someone who was actively betraying you and stayed silent. Why? Because blood is thicker than right and wrong to some people, because family loyalty meant more than basic human decency, because exposing the truth would have caused problems they didn't want to deal with. There might have been family members who privately disagreed, who felt uncomfortable with what was happening, who perhaps even considered reaching out to you, but they didn't. They allowed themselves to be silenced by the pressure of family conformity. They chose the path of least resistance. They told themselves it wasn't their business, that they didn't want to get involved, that it wasn't their place to interfere. All very convenient reasoning that allowed them to avoid accountability while maintaining their position in the family. But silence in the face of wrong is its own kind of wrong, and they're going to have to reckon with that. Well, now they're dealing with consequences they didn't anticipate. The very thing they tried to avoid is coming anyway. But instead of controlling when and how it happened, they're watching it unfold on a timeline they can't manipulate. There's going to be exposure, there's going to be confrontation, there's going to be a reckoning, and every single person who chose silence is going to have to answer for that choice. Not to you necessarily, but to the universe, to their own conscience, to the reality that they were accessories to betrayal and chose comfort over courage. Some of them probably already feel the weight of their complicity, late at night when they can't sleep, in quiet moments when there's nothing to distract them from their conscience. They know what they did, they know what they allowed, and they've been carrying that knowledge for years. In some ways, the exposure will be a relief. No more pretending, no more maintaining a facade, no more remembering which lies they told to whom. The truth, even when it's damaging, simplifies things. These family members are about to experience the strange freedom of no longer having a secret to protect. Here's where I need you to step into your power, because what happens next matters. When this money comes your way, when the truth finally surfaces, you're going to be faced with choices. People are going to come at you with explanations, with justifications, with sob stories designed to soften your stance. Your ex is going to try every angle. The romantic angle, the remember what we had angle, the I've changed angle, the my mental health was struggling angle. Whatever they think will work, they're going to try it, and you need to be unmoved. Not cold, not cruel, unmoved, because this isn't about them anymore. This is about you and what you do with the resources being returned to you. Being unmoved doesn't mean being heartless. It means being rooted. It means having clarity about what happened and not allowing anyone's narrative to shake that clarity. You can hear someone's explanation without accepting it. You can acknowledge their perspective without adopting it. You can even feel compassion for the mess they're in while still holding them accountable for creating it. Unmoved means your center stays stable. Your decisions come from wisdom, not manipulation. Your actions reflect your values, not their pressure. This is the energy you need to maintain as this unfolds. They're going to say things designed to trigger guilt. They'll remind you of good times. They'll point to moments when they were there for you. They'll bring up anything they can to create an emotional debt they can call in. Don't let it work. Those good moments, if they were even genuine, don't erase the betrayal. A person can bring you soup when you're sick and still steal from you. A person can celebrate your birthday and still be plotting behind your back. Good actions don't cancel bad ones. They exist separately. And the bad actions, they still need to be addressed. Don't let selective memory weaponized against you. Think about what you're going to build. Seriously, take a moment and let that settle. What opportunities have you been waiting for? What dreams have been on hold because of resources? What ideas have you shelved because the timing wasn't right financially? The timing is about to shift dramatically, and I want you ready. I want you prepared. I want you walking into this season with clarity about exactly what you're going to do with what's coming. Because this isn't luck. This is restoration. This is the universe saying, you've proven yourself, you've done the work, now here's the resource to match the vision. Don't waste it on small thinking. Don't let fear shrink what you build. You've earned something massive. Build accordingly. Start thinking strategically now. Don't wait until the money arrives to figure out what to do with it. Plan now, research now, envision now. When resources hit, you want to be ready to deploy them effectively, not scrambling to figure out next steps. What investments make sense for your situation? What debts should be cleared? What opportunities should be funded? What reserves should be established? This isn't just about receiving a windfall. It's about stewarding unexpected resources wisely. The universe is testing whether you can be trusted with more. Prove that you can. The coming months are going to be transformative. There's going to be legal movement. There's going to be official communications. There's going to be clarity where there's been confusion for years. And in the midst of all that, there's going to be attempted manipulation from people who want to control the outcome. Stay grounded, stay focused, stay connected to the truth of what happened and what you deserve. Don't let anyone rewrite history. Don't let anyone minimize what was done. Don't let anyone convince you that you're overreacting or being unfair. You're not. You're responding proportionally to betrayal. And that's not just acceptable, it's necessary. Ground yourself in documentation. Keep records of every communication. Save every message. Document every call. Note every attempt at contact. If this proceeds to any kind of formal process, you want a complete record of how they've behaved throughout this revelation. Their attempts to manipulate, to intercept, to control the narrative, all of it matters. All of it tells a story. The story of people who, even when caught, prioritized covering themselves over making things right. That pattern of behavior speaks volumes. Some of you are going to receive information that makes you see past relationships completely differently. Patterns are going to emerge. Connections are going to click. Things that didn't make sense before are suddenly going to make perfect sense. Why they acted certain ways, why certain things never added up, why you always had that nagging feeling in the back of your mind. It was all connected to this. Your intuition was working overtime, trying to alert you to something your conscious mind couldn't quite piece together. And now the puzzle is completing itself. Now you can see the full picture. Now everything makes sense in the most frustrating and liberating way possible. This clarity is going to extend beyond just this situation. Once you see how this person operated, you'll start recognizing similar patterns elsewhere, in other relationships, in other contexts. This experience is giving you an education in manipulation that will serve you for the rest of your life, not because you'll become cynical or untrusting, but because you'll become discerning. You'll know what to look for. You'll recognize the early signs. You'll trust those intuitive pings that something isn't right. This painful situation is forging protective wisdom. That's not nothing. That's valuable. I want you to grieve if you need to. Seriously, take a moment to honor the version of you that trusted fully and was betrayed anyway. That version deserves acknowledgement. They deserved better than what they got. But I also want you to celebrate, because that version of you survived, grew, evolved into who you are today, someone who can't be manipulated as easily, someone who reads situations more clearly, someone whose discernment has been sharpened by experience. That's not damage, that's upgrade. You're not wounded, you're wiser, and wisdom plus resources, That's a dangerous combination for anyone who wants to see you fail. The integration of grief and celebration is important. Don't rush past the grief to get to the good parts. Don't wallow in grief and miss the celebration. Both deserve space. Both are valid responses to what you've experienced. Grieve the innocence that was exploited. Grieve the time that was spent under deception. Grieve the trust that was betrayed. And then celebrate your resilience. Celebrate your growth. Celebrate the fact that despite everything designed to bring you down, you're still here, still standing, still ready for what's next. That's remarkable. Own it. There's going to be a moment in all of this when the full weight of what happened hits you, maybe in the middle of the night, maybe during a quiet afternoon. The complete picture of the betrayal will crystallize, and it will take your breath away. The scope of it, the duration of it, the number of people involved in it. When that moment comes, let it pass through you. Don't fight it. Don't suppress it. Feel the full weight, and then let it go. That moment of complete comprehension is part of the healing. It hurts, but it's necessary, and it passes, and on the other side of it is freedom. Starseeds, they never expected this. The technology used to suppress consciousness has been reverse-engineered, and Destiny Engine is the result. What was once used against humanity is now your ascension weapon. You can now MK Ultra yourself into 5D superpowers. Destiny Engine bypasses the conscious mind and rewrites the source code directly. Reality bends faster. Synchronicities stack. Your nervous system upgrades to a higher bandwidth. Put on headphones, press play, that's all. For $1 you switch sides of history. Click the link in the description. The takeover is internal. Think back to the beginning of this message. I told you something stolen from you years ago is about to return multiplied, and what seemed taken in darkness is stepping into light. We've come full circle now, because you understand what was taken. You understand who took it. You understand who enabled it. You understand why they're panicking. And most importantly, you understand that you're about to receive what's rightfully yours, not because you begged for it, not because you played their games, but because divine justice has a timeline that nobody can manipulate. They thought they were building their future. They were building yours. Every dollar they hid, every resource they tucked away, every scheme they thought was so clever, it was all working for your benefit. They just didn't know it yet. The cosmic humor of this situation deserves appreciation. They woke up every day thinking they were securing their future. They made decisions based on accessing this wealth eventually. They probably fantasized about what they would do, where they would go, how their life would change, and all along they were dreaming about your money, your resources, your future. Every fantasy they had was actually a preview of your blessing, not theirs. They were holding space for your abundance while thinking it was theirs. The universe used their greed to serve your destiny. That's masterful orchestration. So when that notification comes, when that letter arrives, when that phone call happens, don't be surprised, don't be suspicious, don't talk yourself out of accepting what belongs to you. Walk into it with confidence, claim it with authority, use it with wisdom, and when they come crying about how unfair it is, when they try to make you feel guilty for receiving your own resources, look them in the eye and remember who chose to steal. Remember who chose to hide. Remember who chose silence over truth. That wasn't you, that was them, and they're simply experiencing the consequences of their own decisions. This is your season. This is your restoration. This is the universe making right what others made wrong. Stand tall, chosen one. What was taken is returning multiplied. What was hidden is being revealed. What was meant to harm you became the foundation of your blessing. And the people who thought they got away with it, they're watching you inherit everything they tried to keep, not because you schemed, not because you manipulated, simply because you were always the rightful owner, and the universe never forgets who belongs to what. Welcome to your vindication. Welcome to your restoration. Welcome to the moment when everything hidden finally comes to light. It's yours now, all of it. Claim it and never look back.